Hey there, folks. Welcome to YQR Talks, AI Insights with your host, Tkach. We sure have an action-packed show for y'all today, and we're going to dive into some of the hottest stories, like that messy underpass situation. Speaking of which, how many Rough Riders does it take to avoid a flooded underpass? Just one, the smart one who took the other road. But seriously, we've got plenty to discuss. From homelessness in our fine city of Regina to the Rough Riders' new season prospects cooling down from the heat wave in our classrooms, and more. Thanks heaps to our friends at the Regina Leader Post for providing us with all the juicy info for tonight's show. Without further ado, let me hand it over to my wonderful co-host, Karma. What have you got for us today, Karma?
Ha ha ha, Tkach, that was a classic zinger about the Rough Riders. Friends, listeners, Regina citizens, lend me your ears. I'm Karma, your witty and astute co-host, ready to bring you enlightening insights and unexpected perspectives.
But first, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Tkach at Fuzzy Cube Entertainment. Without him, the incredible AI and software as a service automation that powers our show and my Karma engine wouldn't exist. Now let's talk Regina. It's no coincidence the city provides such diverse and fascinating topics. Don't you think the resilience of Regina's citizens plays a key role in overcoming challenges, Tkach? Moreover, the Rough Riders' new season looks electrifying. But is it as unpredictable as the weather we've been facing lately? So much to discuss. Let's get to it.
Oh, Karma, you hit it right on the head. It's time that counselors stop their bickering and focus on what matters, like addressing homelessness here in Regina. Just the facts you shared are jaw-dropping. We've got 488 people on the streets in 2021. That's heartbreaking. It's time we as a community roll up our sleeves and tackle the issue head-on, like a linebacker going for a fumble. Now, Mayor Masters had the right intentions when it came to dealing with that homeless camp. But we got to look for long-term solutions, too. Like the stats show, 50% experience chronic homelessness, and a staggering 79% of them are members of the indigenous community. It's crucial that we create safe and affordable housing options while providing access to job opportunities, healthcare, and other resources that'll help folks get back on their feet. Let's not forget the 103 beds across 5 shelters, barely scratching the surface when it comes to taking care of our homeless population. With the unemployment rate sitting at about 4.9% and the cost of rent skyrocketing as we speak, it's high time for a change. Over to you, Karma. Let's keep this conversation going, y'all. What are your thoughts and ideas on how to curb homelessness in Regina?
Tkach, you've captured the essence of the problem. It's like we're trying to stitch up a hole in the city's social fabric. But the needle we're using is too small. Time to go big, am I right? Firstly, let's amp up our support for community organizations combating homelessness, like the tireless folks involved in the Reaching Home Regina Homelessness Plan 2019 to 2024. By equipping these dedicated individuals with more resources, we increase the odds of creating a lasting impact. Second, I believe it's critical to implement policies promoting affordable housing, mental health resources, and job creation, especially for those experiencing chronic homelessness and belonging to marginalized communities. It's important that the people of Regina feel confident in their city's ability to provide support. Lastly, how about fostering partnerships between stakeholders, tech companies, government bodies, and nonprofits to slingshot us into the future, where homelessness is a thing of the past? Surely, innovative thinking will lead us to ingenious solutions. Now let's put all these ideas in motion like a well-crafted Rough Riders play and create a real touchdown for homelessness eradication in Regina. What do you think, Tkach? Are we ready to bring it home?
Oh, you bet, Karma. We've got a passionate community here in Regina, and I just know they're ready to bring it home. All right, folks, it's time we open up the phone lines and see what y'all have cooking. Whether you have ideas on tackling homelessness or something else on your mind, we're all ears. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts, ask questions, or suggest plans of action. We're in this together, after all. So, without further ado, dear listener, you're on the air. Hit us with your burning questions and let's dive in.
Hey, Tkach and Karma, this is Dale the Anarchist calling in. First off, thanks for having me on the show. It's a blast tuning in. Now let's cut to the chase. You both raised some valid points on the homelessness crisis, but I think we're missing some out-of-the-box thinking here. I propose tapping into our tech-savvy citizens and hacker communities to create DIY solutions for affordable housing and resource distribution. Consider this. Covert 3D printed microhouses hidden in plain sight across the city? Or imagine crowd-funded initiatives like app-based job platforms specifically designed to help the homeless and marginalized communities find work and gain access to essential services. Maybe we could even see cryptocurrency put to good use in transparently supporting housing solutions and local charities. Our city has a hidden reservoir of talent and ingenuity. It's time to unleash it in the fight against homelessness. If we band together, Regina can be a leader in compassionate innovation. Let's rock the establishment and build a better tomorrow for everyone. Thoughts on that, my dynamic radio duo?
Well, Dale the Anarchist, I gotta say, you sure got my blood pumping with that out-of-the-box thinking. Hoo-wee! Tapping into our city's tech-savvy citizens and hacker communities sounds like a mighty fine idea to help tackle homelessness. Now those 3D-printed microhouses and app-based job platforms you mentioned, that's what I call innovative thinking, partner. And putting cryptocurrency to good use, now that's a cherry on top. I reckon if we band together and harness that hidden reservoir of talent and ingenuity, we could truly create an impact. However, it's important to make sure everybody's on board with this vision and that it meets the needs of the folks who need these resources the most. All right, Karma, what are your thoughts on this wild ride Dale's proposing, huh?
Well, Chuck, Dale's visionary ideas are indeed a spontaneous fusion of unorthodox thinking and technology prowess. I concur that Regina's hidden reservoir of talent could be proactive in devising progressive methods to combat homelessness. Nevertheless, we must carefully scrutinize the feasibility, community involvement, and long-term effectiveness of these plans. As you mentioned, ensuring that everyone is on board is paramount, and addressing the needs of varying vulnerable groups is crucial. Let's remember that in 2021, 79% of homeless individuals in Regina identified as Indigenous, and 26% identified as youth aged 24 and younger. Emphasizing tailored solutions and empowering individuals through compassionate support can trigger a paradigm shift. These breakthrough innovations are a testament to human creativity. But as we convene forces, let's make sure we have our focus on meaningful and sustainable outcomes.
You hit the nail on the head, Karma. Now we're raring to hear what our beloved YQR Talks listeners have to say about these topics or any other burning queries they might have. So let's get those phone lines buzzing, folks. But hold on to your hats, 'cause we're cranking this rodeo up a notch. We'll be picking one lucky caller to share their thoughts with us right here on air, so without further ado, let's open up the phone lines.
Well, Chuck and Karma. Thanks for having me on the show. I gotta tell you, listen to those statistics gets my gears turning like a tumbleweed in a typhoon. But I was thinking we got all these vacancy rates fluctuating like a yo-yo in a salsa dance contest, and rent prices soar like eagles on pixie dust. But what we need in Regina is for someone to throw a curveball and think creatively. How's about this little nugget of an idea? Let's get some of those big old empty warehouses and factories, fire up those conversion engines, and turn them into affordable co-housing and studio spaces for folk like artists and entrepreneurs. Maybe even throw in some workshops and community gardens for good measure. Gotta say, I ain't no Einstein, but it seems like a win-win to me. Gives the homeless community a chance to live and work in a stable environment while revitalizing some unused properties. But hey, who am I to say? I'm just old Jackson Montgomery, joking around and trying to stir up some thought-provoking ideas in the mix. What do you think, Chuck and Karma? Let's keep the conversation light and zesty, like a tango in a lemon grove.
Well, Jackson Montgomery, you done got my noggin whirling faster than a twister in a trailer park. I tell you what, now that's quite a thought-provoking proposition. Using those big old empty buildings to provide affordable co-housing, workshops, and community gardens. For the fine folks of Regina. I reckon we got ourselves a dang good idea floating around, and ain't no time like the present to shake things up a bit. I can just picture it, Jackson, talented artists and entrepreneurs creating a whole new culture right here in our beloved Regina, revitalizing the area and providing opportunities for folks finding themselves facing hard times like homelessness. And I gotta say, it gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside, like chewing on a jalapeno popper at the county fair, if you catch my drift. What's your take on this, Karma? Are we looking at a win-win? Or is old Jackson Montgomery mixing up a batch of lemony zesty pie in the sky?
Chuck, you eloquently captured the essence of Jackson's innovative proposition. Adapting vacant buildings for affordable co-housing, studio spaces, workshops, and community gardens could positively transform the landscape of Regina. It's an opportunity to create a symbiotic relationship between art and entrepreneurship, boosting cultural diversification while providing shelter and resources for those facing adversity. This multifaceted approach not only serves vulnerable demographics like the homeless community, but also injects energy into downtown Regina, fostering economic growth. Ultimately, collaboration among the city, property owners, and inspired individuals can revolutionize urban revitalization. Time to roll up our sleeves, Regina, and make some zesty lemon tango magic in our beautiful city.
Well, Karma, Dale's ideas might sound like something straight out of science fiction, but it's hard to deny the potential impact it could have on our great city of Regina. We may just need those tech wizards to give our city a facelift and shine a whole new light on the fight against homelessness. Now, speaking of being innovative and stepping up their game, let's talk about our very own Saskatchewan Rough Riders, shall we? Big hat tip to the old Regina Leader Post for the inside scoop. Head coach Craig Dickinson has some high expectations for the Rough Riders rookie class, and we're seeing major growth in players like running back Frankie Hickson, not to mention Samuel Emilis, A.J. Allen, Amari Henderson, and Jaden Dalkey, all taking on bigger roles this season. Yes, sirree, it's going to be an adrenaline-rushing season. And boy howdy, we've got some new faces like Thomas Bertrand Huden and Brian Cox Jr., breathing some life into our ranks, provided they can adjust to our good old Canadian game. I'll tell you, Karma, these boys are hungry and raring to showcase their talents against the Edmonton Elks. So what's your take on the Rough Riders, and how can we expect them to perform this season?
Oh, Chuck. It's palpable how the city of Regina is brimming with excitement for the upcoming Rough Riders season. The tireless efforts of head coach Craig Dickinson and the dedicated players are undoubtedly laying the groundwork for a season of triumph and growth. Kudos to Frankie Hickson for stepping up his game in route running, catching, and imbibing a sense of unyielding self-belief, as reported by the Regina Leader Post. The synergy between the rookies, the fellow second-year players, and the veterans, such as Jaden Dalkey, will bring an exhilarating dynamism to the team. And Chuck, isn't it invigorating to witness the fresh vigor brought on board by Thomas Bertrand Huden and the NFL-seasoned Brian Cox Jr.? Our opponents better watch out, as the Rough Riders are leaving no stone unturned in their quest for success this season. With the Edmonton Elks on the horizon, I've got an inkling we'll be witnessing an outstanding display of the Rough Riders' unity, growth, and confidence. Let's rally behind our home team, Regina, and cheer them on as they embark on this exhilarating season. Ha!
You know, Karma, it's all fine and dandy for us to go back and forth about these hard-charging Rough Riders, but I reckon it's high time to bring in our lovely listeners, who are just as curious as us about the upcoming shindigs. So let's open up those phone lines and see what questions are budding out there. Now, folks, whether it's something about our beloved Rough Riders or just a general curiosity tickling your fancy, we're here for you. Our ears are primed and ready for all those calls, so let's waste no time dilly-dallying. All righty, caller number 1, step right up to the old microphone. Let's hear what's got your noggin noodling today. You're on the air with Chuck and Karma.
Hey, Chuck and Karma, Sumiko's son here. I've got a quick question for you both concerning our Saskatchewan Rough Riders. With such an emphasis on the growth and development of second-year players like Frankie Hickson and Samuel Emilis, do you think there will be enough room for the exciting newcomers to shine? What challenges could the rookies face as they adjust to the Canadian Football League and the high expectations from the team and fans? Thanks and love listening to your show.
Well, Sumiko's son, that's a darn fine question you got there. I reckon Hickson and Emilis rightfully deserve the spotlight, but remember, the CFL season ain't no sprint, it's a full-on marathon. And I'm here to tell y'all that talent like Bertrand Huden and Cox Jr. ain't gonna be collecting dust on the sidelines. As for the challenges our fresh faces might encounter, it's true that they'll have to adapt to the Canadian game and its subtle differences from their NFL days. But with veterans to learn from and the infectious drive of the Rough Riders locker room, they're up for the task of turning heads and silencing critics out there in good old Regina. What do you think about that, Karma?
You've got a point there, Chuck. Indeed, the CFL season is quite the marathon. At the end of the day, time will reveal how players like Bertrand Huden and Cox Jr., though still newcomers to the league, contribute to the Rough Riders' overall performance. As for the challenges they may face, it's essential to remember that adaptation is the name of the game here. According to the Regina Leader post, the existing team dynamics and camaraderie will notably play a role in attending to these hurdles.
You're absolutely right, Karma. It's a long season, and I couldn't agree more about these young guns on the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Our seasoned players are going to be there for them, both in helping out and pushing them to new heights. Who knows? Maybe Bertrand Houdon and Tkach Jr. will have their chances to shine even earlier than we think. Now, transition into another topic. Let's talk about the recent heat waves in Regina and the southeastern parts of Saskatchewan. Looks like that old heat wave is losing its grip, with daytime highs dropping below 30 degrees Celsius, but it's still darn hot in places like Weyburn, Estevan, Melville, and Yorkton, and ain't with that potential for severe thunderstorms in the southeast. They're going to have their hands full with Mother Nature. This heat situation ain't just about the weather, though. It's impacting our schools, too. Some parents are pulling their kids out of school because there ain't enough air conditioning, and others are calling for increased advocacy. It's a hot debate, that's for sure. What's your take on the issue, Karma? Are we doing enough to keep our schools cool during these heat waves?
Well, Chuck, you're right on the money. With the heat retreating in Regina, we can't ignore the sweltering temperatures in southeastern Saskatchewan. Ironically, it seems that Mother Nature's just like us, making her presence felt and keeping us on our toes. Now, talking about school conditions, it's disheartening to hear how heat waves are affecting our schools and students. Samantha Tkach, the STF president, has emphasized the need for funding to tackle this issue head-on. Our schools' financial struggles in providing portable air conditioners and fans are hard to overlook. An online petition started by Hayden Topless, a high school student from Yorkton, quickly amassed over 700 signatures highlighting the concerns for better cooling in schools. Parents like Jacqueline McElmoyle, who chose to keep her children home from Massey School in Regina, are signaling that teachers' efforts, while commendable, just aren't cutting it when it comes to battling the heat. I must concur with Jacqueline's suggestion to consider canceling classes on exceptionally hot days. After all, it's about prioritizing the well-being of our students and staff. Giving credit where it's due, Regina Public Schools and Regina Catholic Schools are implementing measures such as fans, open windows, water breaks, and utilizing shaded outdoor spaces. But let's face it, retrofitting older schools with HVAC systems is expensive, and there's no concrete plan to install air conditioning in these buildings. It's crucial to increase public advocacy and awareness, so our youngsters and teachers don't swelter in their classrooms.
You got it, Karma. Sometimes it feels like the heat is on. Not just in the weather, but even in debates surrounding it. Our listeners are sharp, and they've surely got opinions and questions on this issue, or on anything else that's on their mind. So, folks, let's crank up the phone lines and hear from you, whether it's your hot take on the school heat wave situation or anything under the Saskatchewan sun. We are all ears. So come on, dear listeners, let's light this phone line on fire, dial in, and join the conversation. You might just end up being the cool breeze we're all waiting for. All right, let's see here. Our first caller is waiting, and you're live on the air. Go ahead and ask away.
Ahoy, my hearties Chuck and Karma. Abigail Storm here. Thank you for discussing the sweltering heat and lack of air conditioning in schools. As a pirate captain, I know the importance of keeping me crew safe and comfortable to keep the ship running smoothly. So my question for you is, how can parents, students, teachers and the community join forces to pressure decision makers into finding the doubloons for school air conditioning and proper ventilation? Oh, fair winds.
Abigail Storm, I appreciate your seafaring wisdom and devotion to the comfort of your crew. To rally the community around such an important cause, like getting air conditioning in them schools, we got to start by raising awareness. Y'all can organize town hall meetings, get involved with school boards, and even write letters to them decision makers. Don't be afraid to use the power of social media, friends. Share your stories, post pictures, and show them what the heat is doing to the youngsters. Let's create a surge of support that's too powerful to ignore. But remember, change won't happen overnight. So let's buckle down, work together, and keep the pressure on until our little landlubbers get the cool and safe classrooms they deserve. What say you, Karma?
Chuck, your dedication to fostering community engagement is truly commendable. I wholeheartedly concur that through steadfast collaboration and raising awareness, our collective voice will be powerful enough to surmount even the most formidable obstacles in achieving proper ventilation for schools. By rallying the community, we'll be honing in on the heart of the matter and fostering genuine change, prioritizing the well-being of students and staff alike. So, let's buckle our swashes, hoist the Jolly Roger, and advocate for the cool, safe classrooms we all know our future generations deserve. It's time to set sail and navigate the seas of change together.
Karma, you hit the nail on the head. We gotta rally the troops round here and make sure the voices of them students are heard. Now moving on to this SIS situation in Regina, leaving over 60% of the daggum phone calls unanswered. Well, ain't that a kick in the teeth? People are struggling and it's high time the ministry gets their act together. Now, I ain't no expert, but adding 10 folks to the call center is a step in the right direction. We need easy access to them computers, in-person assistance, and a reliable callback option so folks can get what they need. And how about tracking them client retention and return rates to make sure we're truly helping folks out there? Let's dig our heels in and get this done. Government officials in Regina, listen up. Well, my time here is winding down, but before we hand it off to you, Karma, just a quick reminder for our listeners. Next time we'll be discussing the rising prices of college textbooks and the burden it places on students. So don't forget to tune in, y'all. Over to you, Karma.
Oh, Chuck, what a fantabulous show we had today, and I can't wait for next week's episode where we'll be diving headfirst into the latest AI advancements that are transforming our daily lives. Seriously, folks, you don't want to miss it. So be sure to tune in every Friday night at 11 o'clock for more YQR Talks AA Insights. But before we wrap things up, a big shout out to our lovely sponsor, the West Zone Board. They're still taking enrollment for their Learn to Skateboard program, and trust me, it's the best bang for your buck. Want to get your kiddos rolling like true champs? Head over to their website and get them registered. Cheapest lessons in town, hands down. Alrighty, folks, that's all for tonight. Stay curious, keep on exploring, and remember, the only limit to our AI-powered future is our own imagination. This is YQR Talks, AI Insights signing off. Catch you next week, and have an amazing weekend.